Weird. How's everyone doing? We are just setting up, get ready to go live.
Out a single streaming platform. If anyone knows of one, shout it out because I would love to take advantage.
So we are streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, any other platforms?
Nope. No. That was my attempt at Instagram from.
What's up, Douglas? Welcome. Fifth Kingdom.
Diane. And 4 others.
Everyone joining.
Hey, Daniel.
How's everyone doing today? Maybe put in the comments of where you're tuning in from. We usually get people from all over the world tuning in, which is super exciting. So welcome. Today we're mainly going to focus on cordyceps. We have a sale going on this week, which we'll talk about, but mostly this live we're just going to on what cordyceps are, Cordyceps Militaris, why are they so cool and fun? So we'll give a little 101 on that. Cool. South Africa, Sydney, Australia, New York, Canada. Love it. Finland. Oh, my country for every person. This is great. Texas.
Hey,
awesome.
neighbor.
Florida. 2 Floridas. This is great. Awesome.
All right. Well, we got a good amount of people, so maybe let's start with what cordyceps look like. And we have some beautiful dried mushrooms right here. So
got Yucatan, Mexico, Nevada,
India, hey, California, Romania. This is amazing. We've got 4 continents. Awesome. So yeah, Cordyceps militaris. There are many types of cordyceps, and in the supplement market, you're generally going to see 2 types, Cordyceps militaris and Cordyceps sinensis. Militaris is the preference for many reasons. This is what it looks like these little fiery orange mushrooms. And if you've been following us for a while, you know that we used to have the biggest cordyceps farm in the west of the Atlantic. It was also certified organic. And yeah, we love growing them. We've been growing them for how long? Well, you've been growing longer than I have, but.
It's been a few years now. I think I started in first dabbling, I think 2015 or 16. And ever since then, it's been, we have put in well over our 10,000 hours of diving super deep into cordyceps. I was wearing the first shirt. I did an internship at a company growing tons of mycelium on grain, and that was my first introduction to actually cultivating cordyceps and Cordyceps militaris. I think that was in 2015, if I am remembering. But I first started getting into them. Like, what are cordyceps, right? If people are new, they're mushrooms that grow off bugs. That's kind of the layman's definition of what cordyceps are. And they're really fascinating. They're right out of a sci-fi film. They're super weird. And I mean, there's documentaries like Planet Earth and what's that series called? Night on Earth, that they cover cordyceps and they show these really beautiful kind of slow or time-lapse footage of cordyceps out of bugs. So they're really awesome, right? And they're really wacky, they're really weird. And so I did a field study in Ecuador, going in different ecosystems in Ecuador, studying biodiversity and anthropogenic effects, or the human effects on biodiversity. And so I was in the Amazon rainforest, I was in cloud forests in Ecuador, and was finding so many cordyceps. This was 2015. I was just fascinated with, and the more I got into it, I realized that barely anyone was studying it. And then went to this internship and just at the same time kind of had my own health crises and was for things, my energy back, right? And to support my energy, support my immune system, support my overall health and wellness. And just functional mushrooms were screaming in my face of such an amazing tool to help support my health and wellness. So let's get into it. You know, what are Cordyceps militaris? We'll give a little functional 101 and then dive deeper into kind of how we got started into Cordyceps militaris and on Cordyceps 101.
So it's commonly referred to as the Olympic mushroom, and this is very appropriate for the sale we have going on right now, which is March Madness basketball. Personally, we like to play basketball more than we watch, but this mushroom is a favorite for athletes. There's a very good reason for that. That's why it's called the Olympic mushroom. It does support your energy. Literally, it supports your energy on a cellular level. So your mitochondria are these little things in your cells that need food. And ATP is a common molecule that mitochondria will eat, and it makes you feel good. It makes you feel like you can get up and run up a mountain. It's what's giving you that jing and that vitality. Cordycepin, the molecule in the cordyceps, is super, super close to ATP. And your body basically treats it like that. So that's why it supports that endurance, that stamina, all that athletic goodness that you really need to be competitive or just, enjoy your life, hike up a mountain, whatever you need, whatever you want to do.
It's an ATP production, right? It's food for the mitochondria. And if anyone remembers from their biology class in high school or something, mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. And so supporting ATP production, supporting that energy in your body it's literally fuel on the cellular level. So it's crazy the way that cordyceps work and the way I like it more than coffee. I love coffee. I drink it every day, but I don't go really deep into coffee. I know a lot of people who have multiple cups a day, but they tend to get drained, right? And they'll have that afternoon crash. And over a while, you get addicted to coffee and you can't function without it. And you crash, right? And so long-term, it's really depleting for the body. Whereas cordyceps, for a lot of people, it can be the opposite. It can be energizing long-term, as well as that short-term boost that you're getting from a coffee or something. So it's also a really great adaptogen. So that's a buzz a lot of people are talking about right now and for the last few years. Adaptogens are just herbs and mushrooms that support your body's natural ability to deal with occasional stress and fatigue. So who doesn't want to support their energy levels and their body's natural ability to support occasional stress? I mean, it's so important, and it helped me, as a business owner, as someone who works a lot and was writing my own book and doing all these things that cordyceps were just my bread and butter, was my anchor to help me get through the day. And I couldn't do what I'm doing without cordyceps. And that's really why we love it so much. It's not only just a weird sci-fi film in and of itself, but really functionally, it helps me support my energy and my body's natural response to occasional stress. So one of my favorite mushrooms of all time, and I highly recommend everyone get on those cordyceps.
Yeah, they're really fun. They're a bestseller actually at Mushroom Revival, and there's some exciting news on that. We grew it ourselves, so that we had a very relationship with this mushroom, and we actually have a bag of the mushrooms that we grew. We're running out of these quickly. This was probably the last bag ever.
This was our OG, one of our first bags that we ever made. There's 7 grams on it. This is packed way more than 7 grams, but we kept this almost as like a memory token, right? And so we were one of the first producers we not only made the largest Cordyceps militaris mushroom farm in the Americas, but the only certified USDA organic. And we were one of the first producers. We were the first to pack in 100% compostable container, but
even the stickers compostable.
Even everything. This whole bag is compostable, and we're actually one of the first companies to pack anything in a fully compostable container. It's very new, that technology, and a lot of times it'll be 97% compostable, or in
an industrial
only in
facility.
Industrial. So this was something really special. Every product that we sell, we plant a tree. It's something that we're really passionate about, of not only helping revive people's health, but the planet as well. We're working with these natural plants and mushrooms. We want to give back as well and support that biodiversity.
Mm-hmm. So should we talk about our formulas? Because we actually have the OG formula back on our site temporarily for this Mushroom Madness, and it's definitely going to be the last time that it's available. We had a little bit of inventory, put it back on the site, and we're checking analytics by the hour, and it is very popular. We actually had to put a limit on how many people could buy, because really passionate people out there are trying to buy as much as they can, and we're like, oh, we want everybody who does crave the old formula to have that opportunity.
If you want a side by side, this is our old formula, it's our old packaging, and this is our new packaging that we just released. So you can see the difference. We kind of upgraded a little bit. We do have this carton, which is great. We don't have to use bubble wrap. It looks pretty premium. We can fit a lot more information on it. So we're really excited about this new packaging. We still had some of this old formula, and so we wanted to give it to you at 50% off of this formula. And so it's really incredible. And we're already selling out crazily fast, way faster than we thought. We're running this sale for a week, and we're already looking at the numbers, kind of biting our fingernails, because this is going really fast. So if you do want this, if you've ever been a client, customer of ours, and you've tried this formula, you love it, this is the last time you're going to get it. And supplies are limited. They are running really, really fast. So act now, because this will be gone in no time.
And if you want to know the differences between the two, that one that Alex was just showing is just pure cordyceps, and we extracted it in-house. This is when we had our own farm and all of that. The new one has some herbs in it, so it tastes, in a lot of people's opinion, a little more palatable. There's some ginger in there, there's some guarana, there is lemon, and it's just super divine, super delicious.
We also worked on the extraction protocols. We actually worked to make it a little more potent, right? So we're adding herbs in there. We wanted to make sure we weren't watering it down, and it was actually more potent than our old formula. And this is something that we're mavericks about, right? Making the most potent product on the market for tinctures and anything that we're releasing. And so over the years, of growing our own, as I said before, we've done way 10,000 hours to become experts on this, from growing all the different containers that we can use, to the substrate, to the tools, to the pH, to the lighting, the temperatures, the times, dehydration, extraction times, solvents, temperatures, ratio, everything. I'm sure people's minds are boggling. We put in so much work to make this the best extract on the market, and because we love it. And
it wasn't there before, right? We wanted to look to the industry to see what protocols were already established and follow a recipe. Someone else figured that out, but that's not the case for mushrooms. In the herbal world, people have done that over and over again, and you can find a ton of literature on how do you best extract ashwagandha to make it the most potent that you can. That literature really isn't there for cordyceps or mushrooms in general, so we were really passionate about developing that. Well, that's a super daunting task. So we stuck with one mushroom. We just picked cordyceps to see what we could do specific mushroom. And partnered with Bastyr University in Washington, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So they found, this certain temperature, this amount of alcohol for this long renders the most cordycepin, which is what you really want when you're looking for cordyceps. That molecule that gives it its unique properties. So we followed that protocol, and we haven't changed it since. Of course, we will develop new things as we grow and do some more research and development. But it was great to, actually have some hands on this, actually have some numbers to put on our reasoning for why we're doing what we do.
We've also partnered with other labs all around the world to study other compounds, right? Cordyceps militaris is way beyond just one molecule in there, right? So we've tested adenosine, we've tested uridine, we've tested 1316 Betaglucans, all big words, functional compounds that support health and wellness, and all do different things to support your body. And so we pulled off the #1 selling tinctures on the market, and we pulled them right off the shelf, right out of the stores, and we tested them, right, compared to our products. We found that our tinctures had up to 400 times more 1316 beta-glucans, which is just a fancy way of saying compounds that support your immune system, right? 400 times more.
And we're more than one lab.
And we're still improving, right? We're still like, that's not enough. We can do better. And so we constantly are changing our formula. We're constantly changing our grow and extraction techniques to make it even better. 51 times more cordycepin, and basically the compound to support your energy levels. 7 times more adenosine, another compound for supporting energy levels. 13 times more amino acids. So this is something, you know, it's night and day comparison from what we've been working on, and we're constantly making it better so you guys can get the best bang for your buck. Like, supplements are expensive, you know, and supporting your health can really drain the wallet if you're trying a million things, you don't know what's out there. There's a lot of fluff. There's a lot of crap, to be honest, you know. People fill their supplements with all sorts. And so we wanted to be different and actually make something that worked, and really push the envelope of, okay, let's be up to 400 times better than anything out there that you could buy, right? For the same, cheaper. So this is something that we're really proud of. Planting trees at the same time. So this is our baby. This is our bread and butter. This is what we're unbelievably passionate about, and we're so excited to be able to share it and for you to try it. And we're so confident. I mean, we even put a QR code on our new packaging where you can see the lab results yourself. And, you know, I tell everyone who asked about it, like, ask any competitor out there, hey, can I see your lab results, and compare ours versus theirs. We're so confident that we want you to ask the competitors what their lab results are, because it's going to be that night and day. And so we're really proud about that. And if you're not interested in lab results, it's really tasty. It works. It helps support energy, and we're super excited about it. So,
and someone asked if the research we did is published, and it is. If you go to episode 26 on our podcast, you'll actually hear an interview with the scientists that worked on this for us. And then on the episode webpage, we published a Google Drive where you can access the graphs that were made and then the corresponding papers that go with that.
We also have a blog post. Oops, sorry, getting a call. So we also have a blog post on how to make your own tincture, which will give you kind of a great rundown if you want to make your own functional mushroom tinctures and also cordyceps tinctures. So that's a great blog post as well. If you just use the search bar on our website, I'm sure it will pop up in the results. If you just say, you know, how to make a tincture, or even Google how to make a mushroom tincture, and I'm sure will be the #1 hit or one of the first. Or you can do how to make a mushroom tincture, mushroom revival, it'll pop up. We don't have a retail store in Austin. We actually were working on it, a little pop-up, and COVID hit, and we quickly pulled the plug on that. We are almost 100% D2C e-commerce, so online. We are in a few retail stores. I think we are in Austin, but it's not our focus. And to get on this sale, you can only get it online. So if you want to products for the first time, or if you are a long-term customer, if you want to be part of this Mush this week, you'll have to order online, and we'll ship it wherever you are. There is a list of countries that we do not ship to on our website in our FAQs. So if you're curious on, do you guys ship XYZ, just search on our website, and you'll see a list of our no countries that we don't ship to, unfortunately. But we're working on it. We would love to ship anywhere in the world. It's just some countries, their customs don't like working with mushrooms or alcohol or herbal anything. So we tried really, really hard, but over the years, we just learned what countries accept our products and not.
Well, stay tuned for products to get through customs. So more countries, hopefully.
A little more history of cordyceps, if anyone's curious, wants to nerd out. You know, cordyceps, as I said, they grow in bugs. I'm actually wearing a shirt with all these beetles embroidered into it, and Lyra's wearing her cordyceps shirt in honor of how much we love. And I actually want to sew some mushrooms coming out of these beetles pretty soon. And so if anyone's into embroidering, let me know, because I would love to even send it to someone to embroider. But you know, a type of cordyceps was the first functional mushroom ever written down in human history, and that specific cordyceps was called Cordyceps cicadiae or Asaria cicadiae, 2 different names, in the Shenang Materia Medica in China in 20 AD. So that was the first functional mushroom ever written in human history. So that's crazy that people have known about using mushrooms growing out of bugs for thousands of years, right? And another popular mushroom, kind of a cousin of that, is Ophiocordyceps. We actually have a sample here. I don't know if you can see it. We have 2 different live streams going on, so I'll go back and forth on cameras. But you can see it's a caterpillar with this mushroom popping out of its head.
Yeah, it's this one on my shirt.
It's that one right here.
It's a lovely scientific drawing. And yeah, it'll be under the soil just like this, right underneath. You could dig down less than a centimeter and probably find the top of that bug. And then as soon as the mushroom starts popping up out of the soil, it'll create this sporulating structure. And this is really hard to grow. I think we figured it out until this century, and only like a few farms in China have gotten this down because it is complex in its cultivation. It's not like your standard mushroom where you just take a culture and throw it on some grain. It's not going to grow like that. We won't get into the mycology of it, but just know that it is super complex and requires a lot of science that just is not in the United States right now.
And because of that, people were just foraging in the high levels, almost at 15,000 feet in the Himalayas, searching for these tiny, I mean, you could see how small it was. And if it was just this little tiny thing poking in between the grass, it's incredibly hard to find. And so because it's there, it's worth up to its weight in gold. So it's super expensive. And because of that, people were looking for an alternative, right? So that's where Cordyceps militaris had its shining light. It has a lot of the same compounds as this mushroom that we were just talking about. It's kind of like a cousin of this Ophiocordyceps senescens, and it shares a lot of the same compounds like cordycepin, adenosine that we were just talking about in our testing. So this one is actually a lot easier to grow, and you can grow it without bugs, which is great for people that are a little afraid of eating bugs. They're vegan. They don't want their supplements growing anything to do with bugs. And so, it first was grown by researchers in 1895 at Cornell University, and then first on rice in 1932. And then over the years, it became really popular in China and other Asian countries. And they began growing it on a huge commercial scale in the 1980s. And then other countries started adopting these growing techniques, like Thailand and others. And then it wasn't until recently that the US really came back around, right? We were the first to grow it in 1895, and then really just took a hiatus for almost
century.
100 years, right? And then, you know, we had to figure out ourselves of how do we grow this, you know, and how do we make it on a commercial scale that is actually sustainable. You know, we had to figure out, how do you do this organically? Work with the organic certifiers of, okay, this is a new mushroom. Mushrooms are even new for organic certifiers. How do we adopt this, right, into the Western world, in the United States? And we did it, and now it's really becoming one of the most popular mushroom superfoods. People are talking about it for, you know, professional athletes, to just biohackers, to everyday people wanting that extra boost in their energy, or supporting their energy, I should say. So it's one of our favorite mushrooms. It almost looks like these Cheetos, which is really fun. And almost every video that we made, we would tag Cheetos in the comment section, hoping that they would notice. And
they taste kind of cheesy too.
They do. They have a cheesy taste, and they actually pair really, really well with lemon and ginger, which is why we put it in this new formula. We also put guarana seed. So you'll see guarana seed. It's a natural seed, and it naturally has caffeine. It's actually the most concentrated amount of caffeine in nature, way more than coffee. We just put a tiny bit in because it actually tastes really good as well. So it was a flavor as well as functional. But it's, I think, a 64th of a cup of coffee every serving. So for people worried if they're sensitive to caffeine or coffee, I wouldn't worry about this, you know.
It's like a microdose.
Yeah, way microdose. You won't get the shakes or anything that some people really sensitive to caffeine will have. So it's nothing that you should worry about. Mostly like 95% cordyceps. So, you know, all the extra ingredients are just for flavor, and something to add in the experience. So if you're new, you're just tuning in, we do have a sale and we included our old formula in there. You can get this at 50% off. We have all of our other products, including our new Cordyceps, which are also discounted as well. And it'll be happening all week, but we're running super low on this inventory. So you got to act fast, because it's selling out way faster than we first anticipated. So we'll take any questions if y'all have any, and, you know, thanks for tuning in and shrooming it. Love you, Soil Man.
Yeah, and there were some questions that were submitted earlier. Please feel free to resubmit them. I'll scroll back up and see if I can find them, but there's been a lot of comments. So to make sure we don't miss it, resubmit it.
Someone bought the pillow we recommended from our last live, which is awesome.
Oh my gosh.
We were just in Costa Rica for about a week, and we both got back to our bed. We're like, oh my God, I miss this so much. And if you just bought that pillow, or
congratulations.
pillow, I don't know how to pronounce it correctly, but yeah, you'll have the same thing. If you travel and then you go back to your bed, your body will know that it's been missing it.
Okay, so any advice for new Cordyceps growers? I'm currently having some jars colonizing and almost ready to fruit. Well, sounds like you're doing it. My best piece of advice, just from having grown like kilos and kilos and kilos, is find a good strain, find good genetics. That's number one. The nutrients and stuff, that is pretty easy to emulate from any recipe book that you can find. And the moisture is probably harder than getting the right nutrients. It depends on your pressure cooker. So I'm very familiar with like our style of pressure cooker, and I know like I don't even measure out my water anymore. I can actually it. But yeah, test it out. Keep dialing it up and down until you find a good moisture level, and find a good strain. So terrestrial fungi, Ryan Paul Gates, this is what he does as a profession, is he's a strain developer for Cordyceps and reishi. And I also have a ton of reishi strains from him, and they're great. So definitely recommend trying those. And
keep it below 70 degrees Fahrenheit is super, super important. And even less than that is ideal. So those were the two things when we were building our farm, is that the strain and the temperature, I think, were the most important just for growing. If you want to dial in other things like the substrate and the lighting and things like that, those will have an effect on the actual compounds inside. But just growing your own, just as a hobby, I think, as she said, getting a really good strain and then making sure your temperatures are below 70 degrees Fahrenheit, or they'll get this other mold growing on it, and you won't be able to grow it, or they just won't fruit at all. So those are really important.
Yeah, we would incubate in like basically a room temperature room and then bring it to a colder room, and that would like initiate fruiting. So
wet whistle, you have a question. Are all your mushrooms fruiting bodies, or can you tell me the difference between fruiting and polysaccharides? I'm new to this stuff and getting confused. Totally. This is one of the butters which we love talking about all the time. We use 100% fruiting bodies. And this is going back to those lab results. I don't know if you were in this live yet, but we tested our fruiting bodies compared to mycelium on grain. So mycelium on grain is just the roots of the mushroom growing on a growing medium, right? In this case, we grew our mushrooms, on rice. And so it starts out like this mycelium. This is just mycelium on grain right here. And the cordyceps will grow in a bit. And for our farm, we'll just grow the cordyceps, or we'll just take the fruiting bodies, the actual mushrooms, which you'll see in this bag, and then we'll compost the rest.
Or feed it to chickens or pigs. It's a great food for farm animals.
But a lot of companies will only use this bottom part. And the reason why is that it's a lot faster to grow. So this can take 2 weeks, whereas growing the actual mushrooms can take 2 months, right? And you'll get from one jar a significantly, you get a lot more biomass. So it's a lot more bang for your buck if you're a producer. And so it's a lot cheaper and faster to produce mycelium on grain, which is the big reason to use it. But it's way more watered down than the actual mushroom. So from our lab results, you can look on many others out there. We found that the cordyceps mushrooms had up to 400 times more 1316 betaglucans, immunosupporting compounds, 51 times more cordycepin, energy supporting compounds, 7 times more adenosine, energy supporting compounds again, and then 13 times more amino acids. And so this goes on and on with all these different compounds, that there's way more in the actual fruit, the actual mushrooms, compared to the mycelium on grain. And we have a great episode on this, mushrooms versus mycelium, with Jeff Shilton, that you can check out on Apple iTunes or our website. We have a bunch of show notes. There are no scientific papers out there showing that mycelium on grain is more potent than fruiting bodies, but there are dozens out there that showing the opposite. So we like to go off the science and use things that are scientifically accurate, right? You asked about polysaccharides. So polysaccharides, just a 101, they just mean long sugar chains, right? So sugars. So if you're using this rice, a lot of the polysaccharides come from rice, and they don't have any functional impact on your body or your health or your well-being. And so any company toting X amount of polysaccharides doesn't really mean anything. It just means sugars, right?
Well, it's a class of compounds too. So beta-glucans are polysaccharides, but not all polysaccharides are beta-glucans. So there are the constituents within the umbrella of polysaccharides that are really known for that immune support. And there's others that are just kind of like calories, like rice or oatmeal, which is great. You know, those are nutritious food, not toted for like these potent qualities. And that's why we don't like to use the term polysaccharides, because it is confusing and misleading, and look for beta-glucans, and more specifically 1316, because there are different, there's even 1314 beta-glucans, and those are found in grains. So yes, it's a little bit tough, but we did that work for you. That's like what we're here to do, is try and make this easy for you and to trust us. We've slaved over this kind of literature and like just really tried to, we talked to Barry McCleary, one of the lead scientists who've done a lot of the cutting edge research and actually developed the chemical method to analyze these things. He's cutting edge in this industry, and we had the pleasure of talking to him, and he would do some samples for us and like, you, all right? We're providing you the best that we can. Should we move on to the next question?
Yeah, let's move on. I mean, bottom line, that was a long answer of fruiting bodies. Actual mushrooms are way more potent than mycelium on grain. So as a consumer, always look for them and trust the science. So
the blanket that we mentioned last time, just Google weighted blanket. I honestly don't remember the brand, but they're all kind of the same principle.
Yeah, we got it as a gift, so we're not weighted blanket experts.
Someone had a question of, why do you think Americans are largely just getting introduced to cordyceps? Well, Alex, you've been to China and seen the Cordyceps Museum, so maybe you can speak to this, but it's also, you should know that Americans are just getting used to mushrooms in general.
Yeah, and like I said, researchers at Cornell University were the first in the world to grow Cordyceps militaris. And so that's pretty incredible. And they were the first in the world to grow 18 different types of cordyceps or entomopathogenic fungi. But that research just kind of stopped there, until, 100 years later. There are some researchers here in the US, but we just don't have that big of a mushroom culture or a mycophilic environment here in the US to really cultivate that amount of research. In China, they've been researching functional mushrooms for thousands and thousands of years, and it's rich, in traditional Chinese herbalism, that literature and that science, and a lot of this actually, backed by the government, which is really, really exciting. And so, I was just at the International Medicinal Mushroom Conference in Nantong, China, a year and a half ago. And yeah, the amount of farms there, researchers, just it's unbelievable. And we can learn a lot from researchers and farmers, really pushing the industry forward in China. So yeah, we're just getting into cordyceps cultivation here in the US, but I think we're pushing forward pretty rapidly.
Mm-hmm. Cannon Hall has another cordyceps cultivation question. So the cordyceps cultivation group on Facebook is going to be your go-to for all these types of questions. But just to quickly answer that, yes, we found it has a shelf life. About 9 months was the max that we could get out of strains. Keeping them in the fridge helps, but it's a weird mushroom. It's a weird fungus. It's not going to stick around as long as like reishi or oyster mushrooms will.
Sorry, we have questions coming in on different platforms. So if we miss your question, sorry, but we will work to answer everyone's question. But if we, sorry, feel free to reach out to us individually. We're juggling 2 different screens right now. Let's see. Unfortunately, we are not doctors, so we can't answer any question about any disease or illness. And that's a question. Any of these, we got a few. Your medical professional, your doctor, naturopathic doctor. So
Yogesh on YouTube. Yeah, we have info on how to make your own cordyceps tincture. If you go to our website and just type in cordyceps tincture, there's a blog post we have all about like how we did it and how you can do it at home.
Cool.
I think that's everyone.
I think that's it. If you have any questions in the next like 15 seconds as we're doing our sign off, please put it in.
What's the purpose for them in the natural environment?
So it's really, I mean, here's the thing where I get, pretty nerdy about it. A lot of people classify cordyceps as a parasite, right? And I really had my kind of shook about when I was in one of the Galapagos Islands, San Cristobal, and we were replanting native plants in this ecosystem, because a lot of the Galapagos Islands were really just really damaged dramatically by a lot of invasive species taking over like blackberries, just totally killing a lot of the native plants. So we're working to replant a lot of the native plants. And while we were doing that, we found a parasitic wasp on top of one of the leaves with cordyceps popping out of it. And it was this moment of, wow, well, cordyceps are a parasite, but it's also attacking another parasite, right? And so I had this moment of like, well, what is a parasite, right? And it's all a matter of perspective. And so I think these cordyceps, or entomopathogenic fungi that attack insects, are just creating balance in our ecosystems, right? So it's the ebbs and flows of when one species has too many in number. Everything in our ecosystems works in a balance, and there's checks and balances along the way. Cordyceps is one of those checks and balances to make sure that there aren't too many insects, and we were just in Costa Rica, and we saw this literal army of army ants just crawling on the ground, and there's thousands and thousands of them, and they're going along and just uprooting insects and eating them, and then just like moving along in this huge herd. And that was one of the checks and balances, right? To make sure that all these insect species aren't proliferating and causing, unbalance in our ecosystems. So yeah, I wonder what our purpose is. We're figuring that out every day. And so thank you everyone for all your questions and for tuning in all around the world. I think that was our number one for
most diverse group so far. That's awesome.
This is great. Again, we are running a Mush Madness sale up to 50% off. So you can get all our tinctures up to 50% off, including our old school cordyceps, our OG Cordyceps that is certified organic. It's really, really good. And so
for a limited time,
they're running really fast. This is the only time that you'll ever get this ever again. So if you've ever tried this in the past and you want the OG version, last time. No coupon code required. You'll get the discount automatically at checkout. That's mushroomrevival.com. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us at support@mushroomrevival.com or on our social media or anywhere else. So as always, much love, and may yours be with you.
Bye, everyone.